Most people go wrong on their NAPLEX prep before they even open the book. And it's not because they're not smart, it's just because there's no structure. If your study plan is simply study more, you're going to feel overwhelmed very fast. So I'm going to tell you exactly how to organize your NAPLEX prep before you start studying. First thing you need to understand is what the NAPLEX actually tests you on. A lot of times students just study very randomly, and that is counterproductive. The NAPLEX is not a pharmacy school final, a memorization contest, or just some simple disease state trivia exam. It's mainly testing clinical decision making, safe medication use, calculations, and how you can actually apply your knowledge. That third one I just said, calculations, huge portion of the exam. Therapeutics, also a huge portion of the exam. But don't discount simple things like knowing your brand and generic medications. And counseling and safety information are more important than people think about. Second point is, before you start studying, you need to give yourself a reality check. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What have you maybe forgotten at this point in pharmacy school? For me, I really needed to brush up on infectious disease. Oncology, I was terrible. Calculations was actually my bread and butter because I understood it was all about repetition. So don't just make a perfect study schedule before you actually know where you're standing at. A couple things you can do to help you identify strengths and weaknesses are to take a pre-exam. You can do some random practice questions to get a good feel for it. You can be more equipped to assess your weak categories. Third point, organize your days into categories, not just random study blocks. Don't just open your book on Monday and say, yeah, I'm going to study this, and then tomorrow the next thing. You need to have a schedule from the beginning, and then you need to follow it. Break down each category into different systems: calculations, infectious disease, cardiology, anticoagulation, diabetes, oncology, psychiatry, HIV, compounding, definitely no compounding. Once you have a good idea of the layout, then you can prioritize high yield topics. Real quick, I'm going to list the areas I think are most important to spend the most time on. First off, you have calculations. It's all about repetition. Practice, and more practice. Secondly, you have anticoagulation. Know this like the back of your hand. DOACs, heparin, warfarin. If you know those like the back of your hand, you're going to be ahead of the game. Diabetes. Break these medication classes into just that, classes. Many important pearls are class specific, so that can help you along the way. Infectious disease. If you can rock this area, you're probably going to rock the exam. Same thing as diabetes. Break this down into classes. Know your big antibiotics: vancomycin, cefepime, zosyn, carbapenems, and know if they ask a question about ESBLs, you already need to be thinking about carbapenems. Cardiology, extremely important. Renal dose adjustments, you need to be familiar with those. Overall, the NAPLEX rewards broad competency. So don't get caught up chasing the tiny details while neglecting the core disease states. The biggest thing that helped me was organizing all of this into a weekly study plan. It was something along these lines. Monday, I would wake up in the morning and do an hour of cardiology. I would take a break, come back, and then do another hour of a different topic. For example, infectious disease. And take a break, go get some lunch. Then what I would usually do is come back in the afternoon and answer practice questions on what I studied that morning. Then after I did that, I would take a break. And I ended every night doing calculations. On Tuesday, same thing, but different topics. Wednesday, same thing, but different topics. Realize you may be doing other stuff during this time. You may work, you may be finishing up rotations, you could be starting a residency. It could be a lot to balance. So write all this down in a study planner. That's my pro tip. It'll help you organize your thoughts and get your weekly schedule written down right in front of you. Noticing all that, the key thing I kept saying was I would rest, take a break. Give yourself a break. Go for a walk in between sessions. Go get something to eat. Go spend time with friends or family. Cramming all day every day might actually be counterproductive. Give yourself a break. So to sum all this up, if you're able to organize your NAPLEX prep before you start, your overall study plan becomes dramatically less stressful. The people who usually have the easiest time on the NAPLEX aren't necessarily the smartest people, but they are typically the most structured, consistent, and intentional. So don't just study hard, build yourself a study system.